Why are Caucasians the strongest wrestlers in the world? Why do they win prizes at almost all international wrestling tournaments? So what is their secret? Well, most likely such dominance is largely due to the fact that national wrestling in the North Caucasus is not just a centuries-old tradition, but part of the way of life of the peoples living there. Since ancient times, boys in the Caucasus started wrestling at the age of 7 or 8. In many villages there were special grounds where young wrestlers competed in strength and agility. These fights were used to develop character traits peculiar to and valued by the Caucasians: contempt for pain and fear, cold-bloodedness, cunning and ingenuity. Crying was despised, and when an older and stronger boy challenged a younger boy to a fight, it was considered a great disgrace. Caucasian wrestler Tbet Kov can be considered the first professional wrestler who became famous in the late 19th, early 20th century outside his homeland. The giant, nicknamed Kazakh Mountain, was born into an ordinary family and from childhood learned hard physical labor. Had it not been for circus managers who happened to pay attention to the giant, he would have remained in his village of Koban. However, his circus career made the over 2-meter-tall Tbet Kov famous. He won international competitions, defeating titled wrestlers, and honoring national traditions. Konukov always wrestled with his clothes on. The most famous Dagestani poet and prose writer Resul Gemzatov in his book My Dagestan described a story that happened to another mountain man, a famous circus and movie artist, strongman and wrestler Osman Durkov. The visiting scientists got their car stuck in a mountain stream. They fought for a long time, unsuccessfully trying to get the car out. Meanwhile, Osman was watching what was happening from the roof of his sekla. Then he came and picked up the car like an insect and carried it to a dry place. The astonished scientists mistook the huge Avar man for a Bigfoot. Osman answered that mountaineers are made of fire, not snow, otherwise he would not have pulled out the car. And he laughed so hard at his joke that the guests almost went deaf. In the early 50s of the 20th century in the Soviet Union began to develop professional freestyle wrestling. Even then, the official point of view that Caucasian athletes in this sport are beyond competition was established. Natives of places where similar national wrestling had been cultivated for centuries did not need to learn its basics. Quite soon, wrestlers from the North Caucasus began to win all imaginable awards at the World Championships and Olympics. They became the elite of Soviet sport and enjoyed all the relevant benefits of the time. They dressed expensively, had good cars, could travel abroad. Good schools appeared in the Soviet Union, where boys and girls were taught the basics of freestyle wrestling, judo, and sambo. The state spared no money for sports, and many of these children's hobbies later gave way into life. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Soviet system of training professional athletes collapsed. In addition, war broke out in the North Caucasus. Many wrestlers went into crime or became members of radical jamaats. Some of them, like, for example, Sajid Murtazaliyev, a titled freestyle wrestler, are still wanted. Honored Master of Sports of Russia, Sajid Murtazaliyev, now accused of organizing murders and financing terrorism, was an Olympic champion, world, European and Russian champion, and had many other sports titles. Modern Russian sport is experiencing a second birth, and Caucasians play not the least role in this process. They are applauded at the best venues of the world: freestyle and Greco-Roman wrestling, sambo and judo, classical and Thai boxing, other martial arts. Everywhere they achieve high results, and the ascent to the pedestal of the winners of European and World Championships often begins with conquering the heights of the regional scale. In every provincial city, which has a good school of wrestling, there are sure to find its leaders of non-Slavic nationality, whose families for one reason or another moved to a permanent place of residence from the North Caucasus region.